Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Larry.
Welcome to MANOPOD,
A podcast dedicated to men over 50.
brought to you by Manopause.com.
This is part 3 with Wendy and Alan Riche. They're prolific producers, and if you want to find out what they've done, you can go to part 1 and part 2. But today we've got a very important question to discuss with them.
Is there a difference between menopause and manopause?
Well, being a woman, I'm not quite sure.
And being a man, I'm not sure either.
That's why we're still together.
You know how we'll get to it? We'll share our differences.
I think that one of the reasons I'm so excited about meeting you guys and working with you is to understand menopause seriously. Because to me, guys went through changes. Yeah, they just, fucked
Became
around.
jerks.
Well,
Yeah.
they became jerks.
Right.
They could screw
Assholes.
anything they wanted. They were afraid of aging, and therefore they just left their wives, did things, and that's what their change was about. But I think it's more serious that I didn't really understand. Women, when they go through it, and I don't think that men ever paid any real attention to it because it was so hormonal with so many women that they needed to come down off the roof. You literally, there was one day I remember walking around in a circle in the middle of my living room going, how am I ever going to go to my job? I don't know where the door is right now. And I did know where the door was, but it was so hormonal. And sleep and the sweating and all of that. So you have to figure that out, and you talk to women about it, but you don't talk to men. What's wonderful about this is the opportunity that we can talk to each other and really maybe get a dialogue and understand what the similarities are and what the differences are, because it's got to be different for men than women.
Well, and one of the things that you find, from a medical point of view is that women tend to exhibit menopause in a different way. There's some women that become asexual and angry and sometimes really depressed, and then there's other women just the opposite.
Yes.
Men, though, in menopause, there seems to be a consistent pattern of stupid behavior. And there's also this sort of rigid idea that you can't talk about things. You don't want to look weak to your friends if you're having erectile dysfunction, or if your marriage isn't working out, or your business isn't working out. And so I think men manifest it differently.
There are physical differences, obviously, but not just from a man's point of view, I kind of go two places. I go to Joseph Campbell and I go to Carl Jung. Both are my leaders in a sense. And the Campbellism, you climb this ladder, get up to the top of the ladder, and you look around, and it kind of delves into what you're talking about. What have I done with my life?
Right.
Have I brought value to my life? If you want, whatever you want to be, and not every job is of real quality, it's hard, but you try to bring as much value to your life. So menopause, I think, kind of comes around the time of middle age, when you really take a look at your life, and you are affected sexually. You're frightened, you're worried, your body isn't the same. Your ability to maintain is not the same. Your sexual abilities change, they just do. You could also be a better lover, but not in the old school way. So
Right.
there's a lot of opportunities to explore. But for me, it's more like Campbell, what happens at that point in time, and what is your life? Where do you want to go in life? It's, as I walked into a dark wood, I took a path, I didn't go the usual path, I went the opposite, I went the fresh path. I didn't go the usual path, I went the fresh path. A very good friend of mine who's a giant studio executive at the time that I was going through menopause said, I didn't have a good life with my son. And I said, that's true, but I may have destroyed my career. So I have a great relationship with my sons. You have an amazing career. I don't. And
At that time.
At that time.
He had taken off.
At that time.
Yeah, and you could make yours up. He's going to have a harder time making his up. Yeah.
So,
But you're always on a personal quest, and not all people are, both men and women. You're always on a personal quest, Alan. That's why you've grown, and that's why I'm still with you, because you are.
I stopped questing about a week ago.
Uh-oh. She's out of here.
Well, so did I.
But, you know, we
But
use
what you
the...
were talking about is,
Yeah,
you know,
and
that-
we use that song by Peggy Lee, you know, Is That All There Is?
Right. Well,
I
I
mean,
thi-
it's such a telling song about you begin to lose satisfaction with things, and you wonder, what have I really accomplished
and
in life?
I think it comes to what's your primary identity.
Right.
And the male identity it's more rooted in family today than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
But it's not as rooted as mother.
correct.
For that reason. And that doesn't mean mother can't work. It doesn't mean mother isn't sexual. It doesn't mean mother doesn't have other things. But so much of my first identity has to be myself. But that's personal growth. So if I haven't gone that far, then I'm looking at mother.
Yeah.
Guys, I think, look at Dick. You know,
My cousin did.
And where is it?
Where is he?
Yeah.
I
My
need him
cousin
now.
Dick.
You know,
That's great.
and that's nothing wrong,
No.
except there's more to the quest, which is what he always journeyed with. Not that he didn't feel all the other things.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, you know, for me in business, I'm still relatively young, so to speak, but in my business, I feel like if I don't keep going, I'm I'm not being as relevant as I
Right.
could be, and the
For
younger
yourself.
guys
For
myself,
yourself.
and the younger guys are coming in, and I'm a little threatened, even though I own the business. You know,
How much time do I
yes.
have? What am I going to
What
really
am I gonna
accomplish?
do?
But it
and
always
how do you start letting it go?
well, it all
know.
comes down to what do you want? What do you really want? But that takes a lifetime to be able to answer those questions,
Mm-hmm.
which is why the show and your journey
Right.
is so interesting because it's not going to be answered just because a group of guys
and
get
it may
together
never
and call
be
it.
Correct.
answered, but
For
at least
some,
we're
it may
talking
never.
about
For some,
it.
it may never be, and that's who that character
Right.
may be, or your friend, or another friend. But for others, the quest, he's always on that quest of.
We had another guest on earlier, and he said he felt so good about talking about this kind of
Yes.
thing that he doesn't talk about it with friends.
Yes.
And he and his friend came on together, and they were talking about we do things together. We're
Yes.
buddies. We
Yes.
share a room. We laugh. We laugh about life, and it's so refreshing to be able to open up and talk to another person, another guy about it, and not
Absolutely.
being looked at as
Or
maybe
be embarrassed. Or
yeah,
think
be
that,
embarrassed
you know,
about it.
that you're a
and
jerk.
it was
or-
really nice. And they said they want to keep talking about it. They want to get a men's group together, not talk about sports and not talk about politics.
So that's really the purpose of our website, is to try and get men to start thinking differently, to feel comfortable talking to other men about things that are bothering them and not feel threatened or challenged because they may have problems.
And also for women to be able to go onto the site and see what their men are going through,
Very
because their men
important.
are not talking to them about it, but they're talking, and we're getting them to open up and talk about things.
Right.
And believe it or not, we have just as many women viewing our site as men.
Great, great.
And we're advertising to men, right? This is about men, but the women love it.
Yeah.
And we may be onto something.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
I think talking about your feelings doesn't mean you're weak. I think
Right.
that it's a misconception.
It's
how
an
many
ancient
men?
misconception, though.
How many people have we asked over time? You know, tell me what you're feeling, and they're like, "What do you mean? What am I feeling?"
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't even identify with what they're feeling in the moment, let alone wanting to shield it. So
It's
I think this
interesting.
is going to be very good.
Yeah.
It depends upon, I think, what kind of archetype you buy into. Like, every man, on some level, should integrate the feminine, so that
What's happening?
he becomes more complete. I think every woman should integrate the male. I'm looking at anima and animus from that point of view, that it's healthier to integrate the female into the man. But you become
takes-
more sensitive, become more aware, become
Right.
a different kind of a man, proto-man. Women, women, by integrating more of their male self, helps them to become stronger. They don't have to abdicate their femininity, but it helps them to become stronger because that male element can be helpful to their psychological strength. So I think, I'm kind of just,
But
wax.
I think that the website will be a terrific forum.
I do too.
For men and women
Because
to
the website
really
will build on what,
Yeah.
what we're saying.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
purpose of the
And
website.
this
Is
Well,
integration.
these are the kind of discussions
Yeah.
we're hoping to generate on the
Not
site.
for free anymore.
Not for free. Okay, we'll have to pay for
Time
them.
it's
It's
over,
been
Todd.
an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for doing 3 of these for
It's
us.
fun.
We would love to have you back and
Thank you.
talk about many other things, or at least
right.
Wendy.
Yeah,
I
these are
will.
what-
Okay, good.
Hey guys, thanks for listening.
Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to hear more podcasts or read great articles, get involved with the Manopause community for men over 50 on manopause.com.
And don't forget, live life, live young.